There's this unspoken pressure, especially when you're running a small studio, that you should be able to do everything. And not just do it well. Design, admin, finance, socials, documentation, marketing, onboarding, ordering, project management. It's such a long list. And if we were to work in a larger studio, there would be all of these people doing all of these roles. And they'd all be good at those roles, and together you would be working as a team. So when you have your own studio, especially when you're starting out, to then have to wear all of those hats, it's no wonder that it's a fast track to burnout if you try to carry it all by yourself. And just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Thursday episode of the Design Dialogue podcast. I have a bit of a confession. I really dislike documentation. There, I said it. I know how important it is. I understand the role it plays in delivering a smooth project, but it's always been the part of running an interior design business that makes me want to slide under my desk and pretend I'm unavailable. I would procrastinate, delay, avoid, and then when I had to do it, it felt clunky and stressful and like I was working against my brain. Sound familiar? Here's the thing. I knew I had two choices. I could either spend hours trying to get better at something I fundamentally didn't enjoy, or find another way to provide this service to my clients that didn't drain me. And that second option, that's where the magic happened. See, I started developing strong relationships with other designers and documentation experts who love this part of the job. They're quick, detailed focused, and genuinely passionate about line weights and red lines. And it's win-win because now I get to deliver high quality documentation to my clients without wanting to just hide in a cupboard for a while. And I also get to support other designers in our industry who love this part of the process. Everyone wins. And this is the power of outsourcing. Now, I know I've talked about outsourcing before, but this example, it really hits home to me because I have lived and breathed it in my own business. There's this unspoken pressure, especially when you're running a small studio, that you should be able to do everything and not just do it well. Design, admin, finance, socials, documentation, marketing, onboarding, ordering, project management. It's such a long list. And if we were to work in a larger studio, there would be all of these people doing all of these roles, and they'd all be good at those roles, and together you would be working as a team. So when you have your own studio, especially when you're starting out, to then have to wear all of those hats, it's no wonder that it's a fast track to burnout if you try to carry it all by yourself. And just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. A lot of designers I work with tell me that they'd love to outsource, but I'm just not sure I can justify it. But here's the truth. Outsourcing is not about spending money. It's about buying back your time, your energy, and your ability to show up in the parts of your business that only you can do. It's not about building a big team overnight either. It's about being strategic. Thinking about what tasks slow you down. What do you avoid? What could someone else do better or faster? For me, that was documentation. For you, it might be social media or bookkeeping or managing procurement. It's not a weakness to outsource, it's wisdom. Let's talk about what it really costs you to do everything yourself. Every hour spent doing something outside your zone of genius is an hour not spent on design or client experience. An hour you don't get back to rest or think big picture. An hour that could be better used growing your business or just enjoying your life. Outsourcing lets you stay in your lane where your energy is high, your creativity flows, and your value shines. One of the things that people constantly bring up with me, though, is around the cost. And this is where strategic outsourcing is so important. So one of the things that I was so keen on when I started working with the partners that I use for outsourcing my documentation is that I wanted to be really confident that when I was putting together my fee proposals, that I was taking their costs to me and making sure that that was included in my fee proposal. Now, the client doesn't see a breakdown, but I know, because I've formed that relationship with them and I have a strong working relationship, I know that I can say to them, hey, I'm quoting on this size job. What would be your fee for that? That is a relationship that we've built over time. They understand what I need. They understand the level of detail. They understand kind of how I like things set up. They understand how I pass information on. We have a strong working relationship. So when I ask them for a quote, they are able to accurately give me something that there isn't going to be cost blowouts. Now, obviously, when I take that figure and I put it into my fee proposal, I add an element of like what I think of as fat around that number. So I have a bit of a buffer. It's no different if you have a strong working relationship with a builder or an architect. Over time, as you work together, you get to know each other. You get to know how each other works. And that relationship and those projects that you work on become more efficient. Work with people who you trust, people who get your business, people who communicate in the same way that you do, people who allow you to stay in your creative zone and deliver better services because you're not spread so thin. Start small, build those relationships. My documentation support now feels like an extension of my studio. It's collaborative, not transactional, and frankly, it's changed everything. I feel more confident now taking on much larger projects than I ever did when I was trying to do the documentation myself. You can be talented, you can be driven, you can be ambitious, and still you don't have to do it all. Outsourcing isn't about giving away control, it's about creating capacity for creative thinking, for better client work, for rest, for longevity. Because what we're building here isn't a flash in the pan business. It's something sustainable, profitable, repeatable. Here's my challenge for you for this week. Is there something that you don't like doing in your business that you could delegate to someone else? And if you did delegate it, what would you do with that additional time that you got back in your calendar? Would you take on more projects? Would you fit in that Pilates class? Would you spend more time with the kids? Start small, experiment. Outsourcing doesn't have to be permanent, but it does have to start somewhere. And trust me, from someone who used to nearly hyperventilate every time a new drawing set was due, this one shift could change everything. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. And as always, if you have any questions, let me know. Send me a DM or an email. And I'll see you for our next Design Dialogue. That's it for today's episode. I hope this gave you some fresh ideas and motivation to refine how you run your studio. But here's the thing, having the right strategies is one thing. Actually implementing them is another. And if you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or just unsure where to start, that's exactly what my Systems and Processes Health Check is for. It's a one-on-one deep dive into how your studio runs, pinpointing where things are working, where they're not, and giving you a clear roadmap to streamline your processes. And the thing is, my health check is different from other mentoring out there. We don't just talk, we put together clear, actionable items that I hold you accountable for, because I want to make sure that at the end of the health check, you see a real difference in your business. Imagine having a studio that runs smoothly, where you're in control, and where you can finally focus on the design work that you love. If that sounds like exactly what you need, head to the website to book in your health check today. Thanks for tuning in, and if you found this episode helpful, share it with a fellow designer who could use these insights too. See you for our next Design Dialogue.